This is a new video about the new release of Go 1.21, release candidate 4. But I thought I'd take some time to go through and just read the release notes with everybody and talk about the changes. This is something I do all the time on my own. I always make sure to read all the things and all the releases. In this particular case, I haven't read it yet, so I thought I'd do it with you. Um, I mean, this video is Go related, so it'll probably be in the Go playlist. I've thought about having like a news playlist. I don't know what's better there. It's probably better to put like news stuff like that under current events. So let's go ahead and read this. I'm going to avoid jumping into my favorite things that they've added by just going for it. So Go 1.21. For those of you who don't know Go, just really quickly, Go 1.18, there's like before Go 1.18 and there's after Go 1.18. Probably the biggest milestone release before that was Go 1.13, where modules were kind of solidified. And Go 1.18 brought us generics and a bunch of other stuff. And Go 1.20 has done some interesting things. In 21, there's now starting to add stuff to the standard library that uses generics, and that means like the slices package and a bunch of other stuff like that, the maps package. So we're just going to go through and read the release notes. I know that's super boring, but if you are just listening, you should be fine. So if you just want to put it on the, on your headphones or something, and just listen along, I'll try to read it all. Go 1.20. I'm going to read it directly. Go 1.21 is not released. The work in progress, expected to be released in August 2023. As traditionally, Go seems to make pretty big releases in August. I don't know why. Just as a thing. The latest Go release version 1.21 arrives 6 months after 1.20. Most of its changes are an implementation of the toolchain runtime and libraries, and this is why I'm interested, because the actual libraries you use every day, many of them have changed. As always, the release maintains the Go 1. Promise of compatibility. In fact, Go 1.21 improves upon the promise. We expect almost all Go programmers to continue to compile programs to continue and run as before. Go 1.21 introduces a small change to the number of releases, to the numbering of releases. In the past, we used Go 1.n to refer to both the overall Go language version and release family, as well as the first release in that family. Starting with Go 1.21, the first release is now Go 1.n.0. Today, we're releasing both the Go 1.21 language and its initial implementation, the Go 1.21.0 release. So that sounds, I don't understand how that's changed other than the minor number. These notes refer to Go 1.21. Tools like Go version will report Go 1.21.0 until you upgrade to Go 1.21.1. See Go versions in the Go toolchain. So that sounds like they've just made it so that the Go version that's reported with Go-version or Go version is the same as what's in the release and stuff. And that I see why they probably had to do that, because if they have like minor releases, that doesn't really change Go version 1.21. It's still Go 1.21, even though it's 1.21.1, right? So changes to the language. Go 1.21 adds 3 new built-ins. Now, the fact that they added built-ins to the language, that's a pretty big deal. They don't do that. The new functions min and max, and I just gotta say, I love this. I absolutely love this. Min and max will compute the smallest and largest value of a fixed number of given arguments. See the language specification for details. A comment from the Twitch that says, makes sense for Go.mod where you set the language version. Good point. I really like that. That's such a small thing, but it's such a big thing. We can now use min and max to compute the smallest and largest values. I imagine that has been enabled because of the internal generics implementation, but I do not know. I'm clicking on the details link, and I'm reading the spec, which, by the way, people ask me all the time, how should I learn Go? RTFM. In this case, the M is the spec. And here we go. Min and max. The built-in functions min and max compute the smallest or largest, respectively, value of a fixed number of arguments of ordered types. There must be at least one argument. I assume ordered types includes arrays and slices, but I'm going to click on that link just to be sure. It sent us to the comparison operators. No word on what ordered types are yet. Let's skip that for now. I mean, we know it's a slice at least, right? So here we go. Wow. Okay. So there must be at least one argument. The same type of rule. So it is a variadic function signature. The same type of rules for operators apply for ordered arguments x and y. Min x comma y is valid if x plus y is also valid. And the type of min xy is the type of x plus y, similarly for max. If the arguments are constants, the result is also constant. So if you can compare them with the plus operator, you can do it. And there is no operator overloading in Go. This is not Python. This is not Ruby. Perl can't really do that anyway. For numeric arguments, assuming all NANs are equal, min and max are commutative and associative. Okay, so min x comma y is exactly the same as min y comma x. For floating point arguments, -0, nan, and infinity, the following rules apply. Because you can have, like, not a number, relative, imaginary numbers. -0 is smaller than non-negative 0. That's kind of cool. Negative infinity is smaller than any other number. Positive infinity is larger than a number. If an argument is not a number, the result is not a number. For string arguments, the result for min is the first argument with the smallest, for the max largest. Min x comma y is the same as if x is less than or equal to y, then x else y. That's the pseudocode for that. I imagine that's pseudocode because you can't write that in Go. If you can, I'd be surprised. I mean, the Golang spec is so well written. Oh my God. Compared to any other language. The Golang specification is just like, it's just like it is absolutely phenomenally well informed and surprisingly clear to understand. So I cannot, thank you for the sub. Check the Elixir spec. I'm sure it's right up there. I bet it is. I bet Elixir is up there too. When people make judgments about language, I think that should be one of the things they consider. It's also why when people say, how should I learn Go? I'm like, read the spec. I don't want to read the spec. I want to read some shittily edited Pack Publishing book to teach me generics that never made it into the language that I paid $50 for, which is exactly what I did. It's one of the many mistakes I made. Don't buy books when you can read the spec and play around with it. I really believe that. I'm not trying to, I'm saving you money too, but changes to the language. Okay, we already got that. The new function clear, how about this one? The new function clear deletes all elements from a map or zeros all elements from, can I just say how much I love that is a thing now? I am the guy who wants to reuse his pointers, his maps, right? Why would you do this, by the way? There's going to be at least one beginner out there. Can you access the spec with links? Yes, you can. There's going to be at least one person out there who's like, well, why can't I just assign a new map? Why not, everybody? Anybody want to chime in on that? Why is clear necessary? Somebody's going to make a real serious mistake by not understanding why clear is important. There's at least one beginner out there, I promise you, there's at least one beginner out there that's going to think, and maybe a veteran, that's going to think that assigning a new map to a map, as a member of a structure, something like that, is a way to clear it out or initialize it. Absolutely not, right? And maps are kind of weird because they are passed by reference generally. Maps and slices are always passed by reference. Even though the reference is to a map, the underlying array and everything is managed. So people don't know this, but you very rarely do you need to take a pointer to a map. Sometimes you do. It just depends. But in any case where you have a map that's a part of something else that's being cached, like all over the place, right? It's being used by everything. And you're like, yeah, I want to empty out that map, right? So you have your baseline structure, whatever, your method is there, and you go and you make a method, a very stupid method, and you write a method that reassigns a new map. It instantiates a new map and assigns that map to the value in the struct, and you call that a init, and you think that that's going to work. And that's not going to work. Why? Because the reference to the other map in all of the objects that was created up to that point, of all the instances of that struct that were that were baked and that are running in memory up to that point, they're still pointing to the other one. And at best, you're going to have this other stuff out there that might eventually stop using it, but it would have to call that, and then it would have to start using a new one as opposed to still using the old one. And that's at best. At worst, you got people with dangling pointers all around, and that's how you get memory leaks, and then you get Rust people come out of the woodwork and say, "See, ha!" Because you're not doing it right. So clear. Can everything be a pointer? Yeah. Yes, you can make everything a pointer for sure. And sometimes a pointer is preferable, particularly if you want to know whether it's ever been instantiated at all, and you can check for the null value. They'll come out, they'll say, yeah, and you're like, I can just run go-race or something if I know. Yeah. No, seriously, I mean, I have always been very open with my criticism of Go as well as Rust. And one of the biggest problems with Go, which remains, is dangling Go routines. And that is one of the reasons I believe, I can't prove this, but I believe that's one of the main reasons that context has become such a prevalent part of the Go lexicon. And I actually hate context.context. I opened an issue. We went through that the other day. It was roundly, criticized as being too mean. I was just trying to say context.context is stuttering. We shouldn't do it. And then like, well, what about JSON.json? And, URL.url, what do we do with those? And I mean, they have a point. And then some absolutely beautiful random person came along and said, what we should do is if we have context.context, if that exists, we should make it so that the Go language itself automatically looks for an exported object of that same type that matches the package name, and then we can just drop it. We don't have to stutter, and then we can fix the whole language. And it got like tons and tons of upvotes and then completely ignored. It would be so beautiful. Anyway, so why do we use clear? Clear gives us a clear map, so the pointer doesn't change. This efficiently, I assume, because it's a keyword, and that's the other thing too, right? There's so many people who have like grown their own map emptiers, right? It's like they iterate through the map, through all the keys of the map, and then they delete them all. But the delete, I mean, who knows what the delete function internally is doing? I probably could go look, but when you call delete on a key on a map in Go, it's gonna go. It has to go look it up again, and we don't know what the internal caching is. Which is, by the way, this is still a large. This is the one related debate to maps that I have not found a definitive answer for to this day. Are maps safe to read from? Let's ask ChatGPT. This is related to maps, so I feel like we're still on topic. Are Golang maps read safe for concurrency? Now, I know they're not by default. but are they safe to read for read operations? And intuitively, the answer is yes, but it's actually not intuitive because it's been, last I checked, let me just state my understanding of it, for many years, since 2016, the reason that on paper, according to the specification, it does not, the behavior of reading from a map is undefined, which means that at any time the Go language could decide that it wants to use internal memory caching for common hash map lookups. And if it did that, that's now a write operation. That's a memory write operation, even though it's a read to the end user. And that would trigger race conditions and all the same things. It would make it not safe for concurrency. So the one camp, and I, to this day, I still do not have a solid answer on this. There is tons of production code in massive projects that assumes reading from a map is safe. They do it all the time. I've read people from the Go team say that it's safe to do it. And then they kind of like backpedal it a little bit and say, but technically it's not specified that way, but everybody's doing it. I'm like, I would like some clarity there. Yes, the read operations on Golang maps are safe for concurrency. Golang provides built-in synchronization mechanisms to ensure safe concurrent access to maps. That is, I want to see that in the spec. I do not believe you, ChatGPT. I do not believe ChatGPT on this one. I do not believe ChatGPT on this one. No, it does not have concurrent atomic write maps. It has one called sync.map, which you should never use. It even says so in the doc. Don't use this. This is for caching idioms primarily, where you write once at the very beginning and then you read from the thing. It's called sync.map. People use sync.map wrongly all the time. And it's a pain in the ass to use anyway. The regular way to do a map safe for concurrency, it's a very, very common idiom, is to embed a sync.rw mutex or sync.rw lock or sync.lock or sync.rw lock, right? And then you get the locking methods in your struct. So you put at least two things in your struct. You put the map, the internal map. You can sometimes expose your map. If you expose your map, then that allows people to do their own locking. You just got to put a caveat on there and say, listen, if you're going to access this internal map in this struct and do your own stuff, you better damn well lock the thing and do your own safer concurrency stuff. But I'm going to let you get to it, right? I'm going to let you have access to it. That's very much a Go thing to do, right? Is to not get too draconian. Let's not. The Java thing would be to like shut it down, or C++. Don't let anybody see it. Hell no. You have to go through my method, so help you God. But Go gives the developers options, sometimes wrongly so, I think. But in this case, that you can choose to make your map visible or not, and then you embed a thing. And I'll do one eventually. I do them all the time. It's a very standard idiom. Ironically, we just talked about this. I just had a pair programming review with my other platform engineer that we work with, and he had just implemented a caching algorithm for LDAP attributes, and we were reviewing it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't safe for concurrency. You might want to embed a map. And he didn't know about that idiom. So I was really happy to share that. I realized I probably need to make a video just on how to do a map that's safe for concurrent reads and writes. And yeah, they added some generic types. Yeah, the sync atomic. I know. I want to look at that. So hold that thought. I want to come back. This ChatGPT answer, I believe, is unsubstantiated. It says multiple Go routines can safely read from the thing. I need to read that from the spec. If somebody can find a reference to the specification that says that for me and tell me that I'm full of it and it's always been there, I'd appreciate the reminder, and I'll put that in my Zettelkasten. But that would be really cool. All right. So anyway, so Clear takes care of one of these other, when they make a Pike in particular, Pike is very sort of standoffish. It's like, well, you can write a loop for that. You don't need a function for it. And I like that, actually. I like that they're not throwing everything in the kitchen sink into the language like they have some other languages, right? I like that they've maintained central control of some of the most important stuff, instead of saying, just make an NPM or a cargo for it, right? And we'll let whoever makes the better one win, including for concurrency, I mean, this is, I'm going to look, I'm sorry, sidebar to, shit on Rust a little bit. Okay. But go look at the history of Rust concurrency. That's all I have to say. Look at the history since 2013 of Rust concurrency. Look at all the different iterations. They couldn't decide. You know what it reminds me of? Python package management. How long has it been before we've had? There was like 3 or 4 or 5 different competing ways to there were eggs at one point, and there were all different things. The point I'm trying to make is sometimes the more draconian, authoritative, and there's plenty of things about that I don't like, but sometimes it's better. Sometimes and this is one of you could argue that's why Python Pro in some sense, because it's one best way. It's supposed to be anyway. And when Go steps in and says, hey, there's one best way to clear a map of all of its values. So we don't have 15 competing best packages out there that all have to be imported and potentially vendored, because who wants a dependency just to clear a map? When I say vendor, I mean copy the code from some other project, assume the license is correct, and put it in your project so you don't have one less line in go.mod dependencies. Right? This is a very common practice in Go as well, thank God. Because otherwise you would be in I mean, if you want to understand this, I am laughing my ass off at HTMLX right now, because it's like they haven't learned anything from NPM. And NPM and Node has taken this tiniest possible packages, multiple packages thing, and it has destroyed that project. That project, you go look at all the dependencies that any samples tiny little project has. And Go is still starting to have this problem now, because frankly, I believe a lot of people from the web development world are making their way to Go. And they're like, oh, well, we'll make this super duper itsy bitsy teeny tiny package. And I've been doing it too. Rather than make a monolith and put it all in a single repo, because how are you going to version the thing, right? You don't want to have this thing separated. This is a really good debate we could have another day, not today. But how much granular do you want? How much dependency do you want? What happens when those packages go away? What happens if somebody else takes over the package? Which the biggest worm in the history of the internet happened because somebody lost control of an NPM module and somebody else walked in, took over control, and deployed it into everybody's code who downloaded the latest. That's one of the greatest tragedies of our time. It's also the reason NPM and Node are disastrously bad choices for anything. And now that they're trying to build hydration into React and everything, I'm like, oh my God, these people have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, fine. I'm going to move on now instead of shitting on other languages. Package initialization order is now specified more precisely. The new algorithm is, this is super important, so I got to pay attention here. NPM ecosystem in a nutshell. I'm going to resist that right now. I can't wait to read it later. Package initialization order is now specified more precisely. The new algorithm is sort all. It's bothering me that they put is and then a colon. That's not how English works, by the way. No, you're supposed to put is the following because it needs a predicate. Sort all packages by import path, and these do not have. Okay, whatever. They don't English very well here. Sort all packages by import path. Okay. Oh, I know what this. I do remember reading about this. This is repeat until the list of packages is empty. Find the first package in the list which imports all the imports as already initialized. Initialize that package removed from the list. The reason why do you care? You care about this because this is dictating when there's 3 things that happen at runtime, right? For any package. 1, the variables are assigned. So any assignment var something equals something in the package space. That's the first thing, right? 2, init. The special function init gets called. And you better have a damn good reason to use init. And there's been plenty of times when I've used init when I haven't had a good reason, including on my first version of Bonsai, which Chris Nova called me on. God bless Chris Nova. I'm sure you can do this a little bit better. And because of that, I ended up making all my packages importable, which is so elegant. There's a little bit of doubt from somebody who's done a lot of Go. And then the third thing is your main or whatever the actual code is. And that's your runtime. So knowing when your init happens, the order that the init functions get called It should never matter, but it actually kind of does, because sometimes one of the reasons they do that is they want to update an internal cache of all the packages they're pointing to. So you want them to register. You want your package wants to register some amount of data struct or itself with some centralized cache to show, hey, I've been loaded. And you see this in like anything that's dealing with drivers and stuff. And so that order is very important. The order has always been very codified, so I don't understand how this is different from what it was already. Sort all packages by import path. Repeat until the list of packages is empty. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. We're talking about English in the colon now. It depends on what style guide you're reading, but no, that's not okay. This may change the behavior of some programs that rely on a specific initialization ordering that was not expressed by explicit imports. Sort all packages by... Oh, so they're talking about the import stuff at the top. Repeat until the list is empty. Sort all the packages by import path. Damn, I mean, what is that going to do with aliases? Nothing, right? You know what I'm talking about when it like puts the alias in there? What's it going to do with like V1 and V2, which continues to be like a big pain in most people's side? That's why you don't get any packages beyond 1 point whatever, because it's such a pain in the ass to deal with the package path with the V2. The behavior of such programs was not well defined by the spec and past releases. The new rule provides unambiguous. Okay, all right, that's what I would expect. So they finally wrote it out apparently. Multiple improvements that increase the power and precision of type inference have been made. Thank God. Possible partially instantiated generic function may now be called with arguments that are themselves possible partially instantiated generic functions. The compiler will attempt to infer the missing type arguments of the callee as before, and for each argument that is generic function that is not fully instantiated, its missing type arguments. Oh, okay. So this is just making generic type inference better. It's just making it smarter. Typical use cases are calls to generic functions operators on containers, such as slices.index function. By the way, if you have not looked at the slices package since 1.18, you need to go look at it because it's got a lot of stuff. The most important addition to this is slices.contains. I mean, how many times? Seriously, there's like examples on Stack Exchange right now, I'm sure, that'll say, how do I find out if an item is in a slice? And they'll say, write a loop. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. It's very JavaScript-y, very functional. But you can now do slices.contains, right? And that will give, but there's a bunch of other stuff in there too when you go look at. Where a function argument may also be generic. And where the argument type and the call function arguments are inferred from the container type. More generally, a generic function may now be used without explicit instantiation. When it is assigned to a variable or returned as a result value. Oh, wow. Damn. That means we can start using anonymous generic functions, I think. That's crazy. Oh, wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I have to digest that one a little more, get my head around it, but that sounds super cool. Basic slice utils like contains, yeah. Yeah, everybody wanted generics for this reason. So they're now, if you want, by the way, I'm going to just put a plug in for this. If you don't know already, I've been maintaining my own awesome Go list. And I have got some stuff in here. Some of which is mine, some of which is others. This is probably my, including the resources for learning Go that I find to be the most valuable. But I did a lot of experimentation with functional programming and generics, functional programming with Go generics. Most of the stuff that's in my FN package is experimental and it's being replaced by official stuff. So map filter reduced, each loops, maps library. I made these things are actually, this is why when I think 1.18 came out, Rob Pike put the brakes on. You can go read it. Actually, it's a really interesting email. He's like, can we please not like redo every one of the standard libraries to use generics at the same time that release generics? Can we at least let generics bake for a while and, and stuff? And so I went ahead and played around with how generics might be used to do map filter reduce, and that includes things like contains. And then now by 1.20, 1.21, we're starting to see these common idioms that are now enabled with generics, such as like a node tree. A node tree is a really big one. This is one that I really liked. I did a lot with it in my pagan meta language for specifying grammars, and I wrote. But anyway, if you want to get an example of where generics really start to shine, it's when you want to you don't know you want to manipulate the structure of a thing, but you don't know what type of thing it is, and you really couldn't do that before. And I was kind of on the fence about generics until I started diving into experimentation with how I would do map filter reduce. I was like, man, nobody needs that, and Pike is on record saying that in one of the blogs. So, but now you're starting to see these things creep in to go because of generics, for better or worse. And one of them, I am trying to find it here. I'm trying to find it. Let's see. I don't see it. It's not the Java one. It's the file system one. No. Scan. Is it the scanner? I don't think it's the scanner. I don't know. I have a node tree in here somewhere. I just don't know where it is. I don't know where it is right now. Is it struct? I think it might be struct. It's been a long time since I used it. Yeah. Hybrid data structures into generics. Okay, yeah. So, it's my Q stack. So I have a stack that doubles as a queue, first in, first out, and also as a stack. Pop off the top sort of thing, and it mixes the two together. But there's like an example of why you would use generics. This is really not beginner stuff. But here you see you can make a tree. You can make a node tree of type any. And then you can do different things there. You can you can define, basically you can say I want all my nodes to be this particular type. I want their internal structure to have that type. So if you want to look at that, you can look at that. There's lots of better code than mine out there for learning about that, but that's something that I was doing largely to explore where I could do with generics. If you don't need them, don't use them. And a lot of times you still need type switching when you think you need a generic, and it's easy to confuse the two. You see me do that all the time. For example, if you want to be able to pass a byte slice or a string, it's not a generic. It's probably a type switch. And it's even better than that. It's probably two separate functions. It depends on what school of thought you're coming from. Typical use cases are calls to generic functions. All right. So next, multiple improvements. Another improvement. Type inference now also considers methods when a value is assigned to an interface. Let me read that again. Type inference now considers methods when a value is assigned to an interface. Type arguments for oh my god, wait. Type arguments for type parameters used in method signatures may be inferred from the corresponding parameter types of matching. Holy cow, I just figured out. I just figured out what that is. You can use, this is something that's always driving me crazy about Go. You guys know about function types, right? So you can have type thing, type foo, func, whatever, right? Anonymous function. And there are many reasons to do that. Most of them, frankly, boil down to simplifying your argument signatures and the dependencies for that function, and to document the function. But it's always been annoying because if you try to type switch, If you try to type switch on the function, you can't type switch on the function name. You have to type switch on the function name, and you have to type switch on the anonymous function that matches that as well, because the type switch doesn't see it. It doesn't see it. It doesn't see the function that was passed. That's not cast. If this means, and I don't know if it does, but if this means that there is an implicit association between a type and inferring the type based on what the function looks like, its signatures, its error values, and all that, and seeing that, oh, hey, I know already about that function type because you declared that type of a function earlier. If that actually is the same, if Go is smart enough to see those two things as the same, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. Because, I mean, passing functions is something that's very common to more of the functional programming, approaches and idioms in Go, and that you're seeing that more and more for all the right reasons, in my opinion. So that's fantastic. By the way, try to do that in Python. You can't even do multi-line anonymous functions in Python. I always laugh when I see Python programmers try to do that stuff. They have no idea. Yeah, probably find some in the PR that introduce it. Yes. Yeah, you definitely need to do generics for decent abstractions. Yeah. So the long story short with the 120 and the 121 release is we're now seeing the abstractions that were enabled in 1.18 from generics. We're now seeing them hit the ground in the standard library. We're seeing type inference and things that are related. I imagine a lot of the code, I mean, strictly speaking, this functional signature, interface thing, type inference for function types. I can't prove this, but I want to say that was enabled because the internals have been decoupled from the types. So the internals of Go, and we'd have to get somebody who knows. And there's actually another Twitch streamer who's on the Go team. He regularly streams. He hasn't streamed in a long time though. And so do I think there'll ever be generic receivers? That is a good question. I do not know. I think there should be. You know how many times I've been bitten by making a generic receiver and then realizing that receivers can't be generic? People are still criticizing Go generic because they're not the same as C generics or some of the other generics that are out there. But I was really afraid of generics because I thought it was going to make the language unapproachable to beginners. I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that anymore. I believe generics actually make the language behave like a beginner would expect to happen, and unfortunately they try to do that and they can't do it, particularly if they come from another language. But even so, I think that the internals that have enabled generics are now manifesting as other type inferencing possibilities that are happening. I'm almost positive that min, max, and clear under the hood, because there's been decoupling from the type in order to enable generics, I bet you anything that they were now much easier to write because of that, right? So that's why the min and max can be on any computed number, because that whatever has happened, that layer of abstraction that's allowed generics to happen has now benefited other pieces of the language, in my opinion. I have no way to prove that. That's just my theory. Yeah. You don't want to get used to a luxury of generics. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel like you, actually. If multiple untyped constant arguments of different types... Wait, never mind. I skipped one. Similarly, since the type argument must implement all the methods of its corresponding constraint, the methods of the type argument and constraint are matched, which may lead to the inference of additional type arguments. Whoa. All the methods of its corresponding constraint, the methods of the type argument. And constraints are matched, which may lead to wow. Yeah, it's out. Yeah, RC4. The entire thing's gonna be at the end of August. Have you ever, Dr. Byrne, you probably know this too. They always release stuff in August, right? It seems like August is usually when big stuff hits. if multiple untyped constant arguments of different kinds, such as untyped int and untyped floating point constants, are passed to parameters with the same not otherwise specified type parameter type, instead of an error, now type inference determines a type using the same approach as the operator with the untyped constant operands. This change brings the types inferred from untyped constant arguments in line with the type of constant expressions. Damn. I'm telling you, the type inference is a lot stronger, and it's because of generics. The type inference and generics don't have anything directly to do with one another, but I keep thinking some of the code cleanup at the lowest level to enable generics is now bubbling up, and it's really benefiting the entire type system, which is super cool. Since forever, February and August. Type inference is now precise when matching corresponding types in assignments. Component types such as elements of a slice or the parameter types in function signatures must be identical. Or match, otherwise inference fails. Again, anonymous function types. I love it. I love it. This makes me want to go write a switch statement that uses an anonymous function type and switches on the function type. By the way, you can do some really cool stuff. So my PackRat parser that I use for Pagan, you can pass a function. Haskell's been doing this forever. If you want to see a good example of this, look at how Pandoc parses Markdown, and read how it does this, and by passing functions, right? It passes the parsers for a particular type of thing, and those are first class. They're first class all the way through, and so the function gets passed around, right? Well, if you don't want your code to get really muddled with a bunch of anonymous function things, then you want to give those functions types and then pass those around. And then when you're passing it around as a type, you're passing the function identifier, like whatever, package dot func name, into your, PackRat parsing function or whatever as a first class function. Then it reads better because your function now looks, the name of the function becomes useful information on the command, the argument signature of the parser of the part of the other one. So that's really, really great. That makes me want to work on Pagan some more. In fact, I actually created a language entirely in Go called Rat, which is a bunch of, it's not done yet. Don't go freaking out on me. I'm still working on it. But to give you a sense of this, it allows you to use, to write language specifications in Go directly as structs, functions, and such. And I actually kind of banished functions from my syntax because I didn't want to, I didn't want to, yeah, so here we go. So I went to making everything a struct, right? So, and I'm trying to show you something that would be useful. So, oops, I gotta answer this in a bit here. I gotta answer that in a bit. So you see here, and then what you can do is you can actually specify a grammar with infinite positive look ahead and behind because it's a peg grammar, because it's a parsing expression grammar. And you can do some really cool things with this, right? So I'm actually using structs in composite notation as elements of the meta language. And why is that a thing, right? Because now I can take peg and I can translate peg into Go, and I can I can do code generation like that, because all I have to do for code generation is write out the structs. That's it. I just have to write out the structs. And in the previous iterations of this, I actually had functions as well. And I stopped using functions because of the problems that I'm reading sound like are fixed in Go 1.21. So Uh, stateless parsers like Haskell, absolutely. Um, so so yeah. Um, I mean, this is going to be really cool. Um, I still need to finish Pagan because or Rat. I need to finish Rat because once Rat's finished, I can actually specify grammars, including Pagan, and then write the generator for it, and then I can come back and use that generator to make other grammars as well. If you don't know what Pagan and Rat are, and you've done anything with Antler, that's roughly equivalent to Antler, but better and in Go. Um, this is something I need to pick up. It's been on the back burner for more than a year. I need to pull it back up and start using it again. I created it because I was sick and tired of uh, all the different variations of Markdown that are out there, and I want to be able to capture my specific variation of it. Um, and I mean, if you haven't, I mean, this is really old, but you can go to pagan.dev if you want to read about it. And you can read about my motivation for Peg and why I did it. There is a new version of the specification coming out that does not have the double dash and the single dash. It actually has better support for Unicode. So that stuff's all coming. I've completely dropped the specified abstraction as an AST. This was originally designed so that all AST representations would be consistent within the language in Peg, which is not a thing in Go. I'm sorry, it's not a thing in Peg. And Peg's all over the place. Everybody has their own one. It's all language specific. So I made Peg. So this why did I go down that rabbit hole? Because this stuff with type inference is directly related to what I needed when I was building node trees and when I was creating metagrammars that were composed of of Golang types. And now that I have inference for functions, functions are a really great way to implement an element of a grammar in Go that represents a subset, right? So, and you see this with like the scanner stuff. So Unicode, dot Unicode or whatever, right? If it's a member of the set, if there's some programmatic thing that you want to specify, how do you do that, right? When you're making a metagrammar, it's very finite. It's like if you want it to be this subset of things, it's got to be all of those things. You got to put one instance of this to make it static. But if you can write a function that is a runtime thing, but if you write a function that says, okay, here's the thing, and then you can pass around a reference to that function as a grammatical element of your metagrammar, then it just simplifies the metagrammar a lot. And so that's very interesting to me. This is very, very interesting. I got to go look at that. More generally, the description of type interface in a language spec has been clarified. Together, all these changes make type inference more powerful and inference failures less surprising. This is so phenomenally cool because, as I said, Pagan Rat that I made is a subgrammar written in Go that entirely uses type inference for code generation and for validation and assertions and parsing and scanning and everything. So Pagan and Rat just got a huge shot in the arm from this, which is really cool because all I had to do is wait, and then they fixed some of the problems I was having. They weren't really problems; they're just things. So I got to go back and finish my Packrat parser. I can't wait. I'm kind of excited. I get kind of excited about parsing. It's one of my favorite things to do. Go 1.21 includes a preview of language change we are considering for future Go. Making for loop variables. I don't understand this one. I read this one before. Go 1.21 includes a preview of a language change we are considering in a future version of Go. What does that mean? A 2.0? I mean, there's been talk about a 2.0 for a long time. Making for loop variables per iteration instead of per loop to avoid accidental sharing bugs. For details on how to try the language change, see blah. I don't know if this is a good idea. Yeah. I mean, what they're trying to do is to make it. Yeah, they didn't. That is a fundamental change to how variables operate in loops. I think that would be a big no, personally. Yeah. Go 1.29 adds improved support for backward compatibility and forward compatibility in Go toolchain. Go bug environment variable. Non-breaking according to the blah. This sounds like they did all of this so that they could do this, because this is a breaking change. When they say future version of Go, they must mean version 2. That's interesting. So they added some stuff to the toolchain to allow them to make breaking changes that won't break it, that we can try. So that's what's happening there. To improve forward compatibility, 1.2 now reads the Go line in a Go work or Go mod file as a strict minimum requirement. Go 1.21.0 means that the workspace or module cannot be used with Go 1.20 or with Go 1.21 RC1. This allows projects to depend on fixes made in later Go versions. I love that. That's the way. This is just making it do what we all wanted it to do. So that's not really worth talking about. To make these new stricter version requirements easier to manage, the Go command can now invoke not just the toolchain bundle, but also other Go toolchain variables and path. If a Go mod or Go work Go line declares a minimum requirement on a new version of Go, the Go command will find and run that version automatically. Oh, that's cool. Then you can have both Go this has plagued me forever. You can have both of the Go binaries installed. So how does it know to find the one? The new toolchain directive says it's just a minimum toolchain use. How does it know to find another one in my path? Is it going to run dash version on it? What the hell? Starting going to the Go distribution, blah, 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 blah. And you go toolchain. For example, the Go command bundle with blot. The Go command uses when they go. I have no idea what's going on here. The Go toolchain environment setting can now force a specific Go version, overriding the Go and toolchain lines. For example, to test the package with blot, use Go toolchain Go 1.2. I assume that means that they want you to save. This is new. This is now, they don't want you to use Go. They want you to save the binary with its name in the name. Its release in the name, its version in the name. Yeah. So what was this question? Is to prevent the most common, back to the loop thing. Is to prevent the most common for bug where you have to copy the variable inside the loop. Was the common fix. Oh, damn. Oh, so it's to prevent the most common for bug when you have to copy the variable inside a loop. Oh, yeah, and then I would overwrite it. Oh, wow. Okay, I see what you're saying. So x comma y equals range or whatever, blah. And then inside of the block, you would have x walrus operator x, and you'd end up stomping on the for iterated loop because you'd be reassigning to a new one. Okay, that makes sense. So they're trying to keep us from shooting ourselves in the foot. They're removing a foot gun. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so it sounds like I'm going to be I'm a very old school Go installer person. I don't use app for things. I have my own installer script, and I regularly just go get the thing and untar it. Obviously, that method is going to now change if I want to support multiple Go versions, which I do, because if I were to do that, that would not be necessarily the right version. So this is definitely going to affect. Has it already changed? Has this already changed how they document installation of Go? Because this is the standard installation instructions will get you the latest version of Go. Download the tarball, untar, and user local bin, or user local, sorry, and then add that path, add that Go to your path. You know what? I want to look at something really quick while we're doing this. I think I answered my own question. So if I go to user local Go, I have a feeling the binary I'm going to find. What is it? User, is it var? I don't know. Oh, that's right. I made mine install in my own .local. Yeah, because I want my installer to work on a multi-user system where I don't have root. So that's why it's here. Yeah. I'm having a feeling that bin. Nope, it doesn't. Damn. Go install method for RCCM. Yeah, if you're doing in container stuff. This is a problem because this. Okay, so I mean, I think this is a cool change, but it's not for beginners. It's not for beginners because in order for it to work, you'd have to untar it the way I did. Let me go show you my installer. So you can see, I mean, anybody who's done anything with Go will immediately recognize what's going on here. So, you know, this is how I do it. I go ahead and, I set the type I want. This is for my system, so it's hard coded. I don't care because it's my installer, and you can do some cool jQuery stuff to get the latest version. And then we download the file. This is the tarball. And what is that warning about? Oh, okay. Never mind. And oh, well, I found a bug. Look at that. What do you know? Thank you, Ale and Shell Check. They found a bug for me. No, it's not jQuery stuff. You're old. You're old. Somebody saw JQ and they made a jQuery joke. You old fart. So anyway, here we go. Fetch the file name equals lookup. Unable to fetch the file name. Go.dev develop. So anyway, we download it, install the latest. And this just puts the tarball in there. So this is literally the instructions they tell you on the Go man page. I mean, on the Go homepage. You're only semi-old. Yeah. So this is really cool and all, but this is only going to apply to people who know how to change their binary name. And I would argue that's not most Go developers, but it is some developers, and they're going to really love it. Yeah. So yeah. I actually do like that. That's kind of cool. I'm going to start using that. Because I am regularly required to do development on an older system, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be a thing for a very long time. And why? Because a lot of times your dependencies depend on a much older version of Go. And stuff. That should never stop you though, right? You should always be able to use the additional ones. I'm trying to rethink the people who made the program Compose, Kompose, opened an issue there, which they eventually resolved as, Shrug, because they had all these dependencies that they had, so they were using required, and it was breaking their installer, and they eventually fixed it when we went out to check on it last month or so. And they ended up fixing it. So I'm trying to remember. That was related to the require keyword, though, in Go.mod. That was not related. People don't know this, but you no longer can use require for vanity URLs and stuff like that. You never could. It was always a bad idea. I even said so. There was like a really, I forget the name of the person. It was some bigwig at GitHub. Posted on Twitter how cool their vanity URL for Go was using the require keyword in Go.mod. And I was like, that's a bad idea. That's unofficial. That's going to break. And boom, they broke it in 1.18 permanently. They won't even use, you can't even use Go install. You can't, you can't use Go. Sorry, you can't use Go install unless you use it. And all the people that were using Go Update -U for installation instead of Go install also got burned. Thank God there is a God. So anyway, what do you got there? An example of what the loop will fix. Oh, let's go look at this. This looks fun. Let's go look at that. So this is from a contributor. This is from Cockeyes in our chat here. Package main. Don't you just love the Go playground? Does Rust have a playground? Nope. Maybe they do. Wait. What does ChatGPT have to say about that? Does Rust have an equivalent of Golang playground? I don't know. Let's see what happens here. All right. Yes. Oh, okay. I'm wrong then. Rust has one. Well, okay. I stand corrected. It is an online tool that allows you to write, compile, and run Rust. It just takes forever for it to compile. All right. Well, good job, Rust. Good job, Rust. I'm glad I asked. You check out Live Book on Elixir. Greg, you keep tempting me with Elixir. You know that I have a thing for Elixir. One of my friends in the stream is giving me a hard time. Seriously, like, you know that really, like old meme that has never been refried where the guy's like with the girlfriend and he's like looking at the ass of the other girl. The ass of that girl is Elixir. I am like always looking at the ass of Elixir and Erlang because seriously, talk about a really great, awesome language. I don't know anything about it. I've never used it. I've never been able to program in it. I want to. I really want to. It's just like if there's a language that I really, really want to master that just cause it's so stinking cool and has done so many amazing things in the world, it would definitely be Elixir and Erlang. I know, with hot swappable functions and lazy. It's just this the reason that all the really substantial things on the planet that take really, really like the highest level of concurrency demands are done in Erlang, and we're talking everything. We're talking GitHub, Discord. I mean, Ericsson invented it to manage phone switches back in the long time ago. Learn you some Erlang.com. Will you stop it? You're just tempting me. I want to learn some Erlang. I tell you what, Christmas time. Christmas time is when we give each other presents, and I usually do C. I usually do C to remind myself of my C because I'm so bad at it. Yeah. Is Erlang memory safe? Should we have that? We should do that. We should go there. We should have a debate: Erlang versus Rust. Because the people that like hip languages like fixies, like fixie bike riders, like I want to be. They're both super uber cool. So in terms of like chin beard appeal, Rust and Erlang have equivalent chin beard appeal. But but Erlang's actually a good language. It's a joke. It's a joke. Calm down. Calm down. It's a joke. All right. So here we go. Var out int for var range. Yeah. Shadowing of the V. Uncomment below to fix footgun. I mean, why don't you want... This doesn't make any sense to me. For being a range outprint V. I'm going to run it just so I can see. Run. Why isn't it running? Is it running? I can't see it. Program. Oh, there we go. 3333333. Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, and it prints 3 the whole time. What the hell? Oh, I know what this is. It's because you did a pointer. This is funny because this is actually one of the gotchas in I read about this. The first time I read about this particular footgun, it was in JavaScript. And it was one of the LeetCode questions. One of the coding interview questions. and of course, it entirely um, relates to V being a pointer, right? And that's the thing you got to take. I mean, it's very uncommon to do that, but that if you were to do that, that's a big deal. Yeah, because otherwise it just continues to increment that one, right? So I'm super glad they added that. That's gonna make that intuitive problem not a problem for beginners. That's great. That's really good. They're paying attention. That's good. That's good. Thank you for that demonstration, for that example. That's really great. I'm gonna actually bookmark that so I'm gonna write a Z about that. I'm gonna use your stuff. I'll give you credit. So thank you. That's why we have a community. That's why I do this thing with everyone, because so many people are smarter than me when it comes to stuff like this. It can be pointed if the pointer is an underlying array. The problem is taken to the addresses of which is even worse. Yeah, and then it just whether it assigns the value. In that case, it's an integer or a string. If you were to do a string pointer, integer pointer, which is very uncommon, but it's illustrating the point that if it's a pointer at all, it's always going to change the last one that was there. So instead of making a new one. All right. So we read about the Go tools to improve forward compatibility. Now has Go work or mod files. Yeah, we did this one. To make these easier, Gold Chain versions are now found in Path and downloaded on demand. How download? What the hell? Is it actually going to download a different version of Go? Holy cow! Is that like one of those things where you can once you have a version of like Go 1.7 or higher, you can do Go install using the Go command? You guys know this? I didn't know that for a long time. I still don't do it. But that would actually argue that that's the way you should be doing your Go installs from now on, because that is going to pull the right version binary in, and it's going to apparently put it in your path for you. I don't know. We have to test that out. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. If a Go mod file or Go work file declares a minimum requirement with a newer version of Go, the Go command will find and run that version automatically. To make these newer stricter requirements, Go command can now invoke not just the toolchain bundle, but also other Go toolchain versions found in Path or downloaded on demand. What the hell does that mean? GVM for Go installs. Yeah, I know. Downloaded on demand. Is this something we can turn off? I don't want Go downloading anything on demand unless I tell it. Yeah, that has got to be a side effect. That has got to be a side effect. That is insane. Surprise them with the latest version. Use the Go bug environment to control the default behavior for changes. I don't know this for sure, but I really, really hope it doesn't do any of that unless Go bug is on. Non-breaking and no, that's not it. That is not it. That is a separate change. That's not related. Damn, if it's gonna seriously, we have got to find that out, man. IMP 412 version of Go into Path. Seriously, are we let's slow down here. Are we panicking too early? I mean, that would not be the first time I've done that. Well, I'm thinking that this is actually fine. It's all fine. Flames in the background. I need to be able to cue green screen flames in my background. That's a OBS plugin I need to get. Flames in the background. We're fine. That would be so cool. I'm going to make that while I'm dancing and drinking on Thursday. This allows the project. It depends. I really, it's one of those things where I really don't want to know what is true. I don't know. You publish a Go module with a bug. Yeah, Go module versions are flat out immutable. Absolutely true. Super annoying. Yeah, I like those flames. Those are very nice flames. Hurry before Rob sets his room on fire trying to make a special effect. I would be that guy. My flames are real. See, can you smell them? Can you smell the burn? Почему я изучал русский язык? Потому что я хотел поговорить, разговаривать с русскими. Очень просто. Это очень просто. Потому что я коммунист. Являюсь коммунистом. Это зависит от кого, кто вы задаете этот вопрос. Призназ. Что такое? Not exactly. Can someone raise? I understand. Not exactly. You can re-release if no one has downloaded yet and it hasn't hit the proxy. This is true. Yeah. Хорошо, товарищ. Как дела? Нормально, все нормально. Сегодня все нормально. Вчера так. День вчера хочу забыть. Okay, so they're talking amongst themselves about proxy stuff. I am going to put off I'm going to remain in my Plato's Cave about this. I do not want to know that Go is automatically downloading new versions just because somebody's version says it's a newer version. That scares the crap out of me. I refuse to believe that that's true. Please, in the comments on YouTube, if you know that that's not true, put it down there and show me I'm full of crap and that we're all freaking out for no reason. I'm sure that's the case. Yeah. Mutable tags are definitely a security risk. I agree. Anyway, the Go command. The pgo build flag now defaults to pgo equals auto. And the restriction to specify a single main package on the command line is now removed. In a file name, default.pgo is present in the main package. What the hell is pgo? What the hell is pgo? I have no idea what that is. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I gotta say, what is pgo? Profile guided optimization. I should know that. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I am not a 10x programmer. I'm kind of like a 5x. Building a strong opportunity pipeline. I don't know what that is. Never use it. Yeah, well, we're not like computer scientists, so it sounds like it's a something that applies to all programming languages. Profile guided optimization, also known as feedback direction FDO. Compiler optimization seek that feeds information from representative runs to the application back to the compiler for the next build of the application, which uses the information to make it more optimized. Yet another way to compile even faster. The fastest language compiler on the planet. There is no debating that. The fastest language compiler on the planet has yet another optimization to compile even faster. Hey, Matt, how are you? That's cool. So that's all we need to take away from that is that compilation is even faster. Rust people who wait for 10 times as long because you have memory safety being checked through the whole time. As if that mattered. I mean, I am not going to... Okay. The thing that makes me mad about the languages that profess to have these like really pedantic, checkers and stuff at the compile time and all this stuff is they don't give you the option of doing that. So if you know your code is already good, you still have to sit through all of that again. And I imagine, does Rust have pgo support? I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Does Rust have pgo support? Compiler performance and runtime performance. I think pgo is compiler performance. Rust does have profile guided optimization support. Pico is a compiler technique that uses profile data generated during program execution to guide optimizations. Interesting. So it is runtime LBG. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I've never used it. I've never heard of it. I'm not a 10xer. I told you. So by collecting data on how the program is using corrected optimization decisions based on real world use cases, PGO can improve the overall performance of the compiled Go code. PGO support in Rust can enable by using the blah. Damn. Yeah, I think that's what I'm reading. This makes me want to turn it on now. This makes me want to. I did not know about Pigo today. Zet create. Consider turning on Pigo to get even faster runtimes. And I'm gonna do this. Oops, that was the wrong one. Was it Doc Pigo? Oh, okay. I got to go back and read that later. I don't want to lose the reference to that. I got to make a note of that. All right. So that's something to learn about. The -C. I mean, I can think, in our platform engineering team, I can think right away. Our API, where we're doing a lot of caching. I'm already interested in adding that to our Go releaser, which we just added to our build process. If you haven't heard about Go releaser, you need to really go look at it. It's freaking amazing, and it's also supported by default in GitHub Actions. If you're not using Go releaser for your releases, you really need to consider it. And so we're moving to Go releaser for lots of stuff. And I mean, I've written code that does exactly what Go releaser does horribly. Go releaser just does it so well. But I need to, put a pin in this. I need to make sure that our Go releaser options include turning Pigo on and testing that in our high performance API interfaces. Now we're using Gin, so and there's a lot of built-in latency because of the network and I/O, latencies. People are always about, runtime performance. This is gonna be fast. Well, it's not. Usually you're waiting on I/O, almost always, right? So it's, runtime performance is really not that big a deal in a modern world. It is though if you're doing I suppose machine learning or things that are really, really CPU intensive or GPU intensive or whatever. So that might be a reason to go look at it. I'm trying to figure out what that would speed up. That's the question I have. What is Pigo going to speed up for me? And I really don't know why. You think Go releaser is constantly changing? Well, you've probably been using it longer than me. I just found it, so I haven't been using it long enough to be annoyed. Thank you for sharing your annoyance, though, Dr. Broom. Collect the profile data by running the program to recompile the program with Pigo. Huh. Yeah, min-max are now, yeah, constants. Min-max, yeah. Well, you're not wrong. Not having min-max is the thing. That was a problem somebody's seeing, yeah. Seago in files, the reason is because of type inference, I think. I can't prove it. In files that import C and the Go toolchain now correctly reports errors attempting to declare Go methods of C types. Good. Runtime when printing. What did I just do? Did I just open a new window? God, I'm a spaz. Okay. When printing very deep stacks, the runtime now prints the first 50 innermost frames, allowing the bottom 50 outermost frames rather than just printing the first 100. This makes it easier to see deep recursive stacks start. Nice. That's mostly going to be in your panic output, I'm assuming. On Linux platforms that support huge pages, Go runtime now manages which parts of the heap may be backed for each page more explicitly. Better utilization of memory. Small heaps should use less memory by 50%. Nice. Improving CPU usage and latency by up to 1%. As a result of runtime internal garbage collection tuning, the thing that people always shit on with Go and other languages like it, even though garbage collection is a fundamental part of any modern language, at the modern usable language. I mean, look, there's many reasons you don't want garbage collection. I'm not saying that you don't need it. Applications may see up to 40% reduction in application tail latency and a small decrease in memory use. People don't know this, but you can tune garbage collection in Go. It's not like you have to have it. They're like, yeah, it's forcing you to do garbage. No, it's not. You just don't know Go. Some applications may also observe a small loss in throughput. The memory use decrease should be proportional to the loss of throughput. Interesting. So Go GC, if you want to know about garbage collection and how to disable it, make it run like C or Rust or something. Read about it. Go mem limit. You can tweak how Go memory works. Calls from C to Go on threads created in C requires some setup to prepare for Go execution on Unix platforms. This setup is now preserved across multiple calls. Nice. I'm not doing it, but that's very nice. Profile guide optimization. Add a new preview. Oh, it is a preview. Oh. So that's why I didn't know about it. So because I would have read it in the release notes. I guess I didn't. So PGO was added in 1.20, and that's why it's so new to me. And now it's ready for general use in 1.21. Okay, cool. Nice tools for estimating your CPU usage, etc. Yeah, thank you for that. Arenas are on hold. Otherwise, Go devs could handle memory themselves. They eventually will be able to, yeah. Yeah, Pigo is new, and I kind of want to understand it. This is a technique that more than one language has, obviously, now. As a developer, I feel like I need to understand it. So I am going to allocate some Friday learning time to learn Pigo. See the Pigo user guide, because I don't want to add it if we don't need it, right? Performance improvements vary depending on application behavior. Most programs with a representative set of Go programs see between a 2 and 7% improvement by enabling Pigo. That's not nothing. That's worth looking at, man. Pigo builds can now devirtualize some interface method calls, adding a concrete call with the most common callee. Oh, damn. That is cool. This enables further optimizations such as inlining the callee. Yay. More inlining is always good. I love me some inlining. I love me the inlining. Inlining is awesome. It just makes everything so much happier. It makes it a little bit bigger, but who cares? Go 1.2 improves speed by 21. Improves build speed by 6% as if it wasn't already fast enough. Because the compiler itself is now using Pigo. Suck on that, Rust. All right. It's a joke. Calm down. God, I have to say that every time. It's always full of good stuff. It really is. That's why I said I wanted to share this. I wanted to share the love of reading release notes with people. Assembler on AMD 64, frameless no split assembly functions are no longer automatically marked as no frame. No idea what that means. Instead, the no frame attribute must be explicitly specified. The verifier that checks for incorrect use of R15. I mean, I'm sure that's super cool, but I am such an assembler wannabe. I really, really want to be good with assembly, but all I can do is read it, see if there's memory leaks and stuff and what it's doing. I'm a noob. I don't know assembly. I want to. You know what? Do you know how many times I've bought a book on assembly starting from like 92? I buy them all the time. I buy books on assembly all the time, and I never read them. I played that game for like 3 days. What was it? The Shenzhen IO game that teaches you assembly. Basically, it's not really, but and I played it for like 2 days. I'm like, I got other things to do. I always have other things to do, like I don't know, make Twitch bots. Spicy Wiener, how are you? Dangerous doesn't have damage. I was about to read the sync package changes. Oh, I saw. I know they're coming. Dr. Firm, I even said that at the beginning. I said I wasn't going to spoil it. I said, but there are some changes because we were just talking about the sync package today. The sync atomic. Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. By the way, did you see the AMD CPU memory exfiltration bug? I don't know, LBG. I'm sure it's awesome. Good learn if you want to reverse engineering binaries. Amen. That's how come I know it. I tell people all the time, learn how to read C so you can read S traces and know what code is doing because you can read syscalls, and learn assembly so you can see what's going on with malware or anything really. As an operations person, knowing how to read it, and decipher it. You don't have to be able to write it and stuff. I still hold to that. I really do think. I mean, to be fair, that was my job for like 2 years at IBM, was finding bugs and memory leaks in other people's C code. And I was second level support, and I had to say your code is shit, and I would send it back to them. And I had to have it. I had to have it documented. I had to have the assembly code where it barfed, and I had to have the S trace, and the symbolic debugger was my best friend. Blah 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 blah. But I never really learned how to use any of that to create anything. So I don't know if that matters, but I think the runtime improvements do seem promising. Yeah. Oh God. Okay, so the new slog package. This one's got people worried. Actually, everyone's saying stop using log for X and Y, right? The way we're using it because everything's changing. So I want to know why. The new log slog package provides structured logging with levels. Oh, right. So they finally added level 1 logging, level 2 logging, level 3, level 4, and that's built into the log package. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I always wanted to grow my own. It's like, you guys know syslog? They don't need a third-party log lib. Exactly, Cockeyes. You totally get what I'm saying here. Do you remember I said that the languages that choose to let the community come up with the thing and let them fight over it, and then you get a fractured community that can't figure it out, and it doesn't ever do anything, and Python distribution came to mind and that kind of thing, right? Sometimes that competition is good, sometimes it's not. But the idea of multi-level logging, like, and kind of the syslog method, right, where you can do warning, you have like 8 different versions. If you've ever written a command where you do -v or -vvv or -vvvvvvv, you can do that with SSH, by the way. You get different layers of verbosity. And I used to make jokes all the time. I was like, yeah, he's got his -vvv on. And people were like, what the hell does that mean? It's like, you're not cool. You don't get my joke. You don't understand my joke. Yeah, turn your -vvv off. Like, take a V out of your -vv there for a second. Me, I'm -v. I'm -5Vs all the time. Yeah, I'm just constantly Ving, constantly verbosing, and so slog lets you say, okay, this comes here, and then this comes. So if it's just informational, you can say, okay, everybody needs to see this now. Not everybody, but the reason this stuff is annoying as hell is because when you add this logging code, you're slowing everything down because you're adding all these conditionals all over the place. You see what I mean? And that's actually still a concern I have. Yeah, I don't know about JSON logging. I haven't seen that yet. I don't. Did they make it officially JSON? I hope they did. The first thing I do to a struct is implement the stringer as a JSON marshaller. That's like literally the first thing I do. The second thing I do is make a print method that conveniently calls that method. It has JSON logging built in? Does that mean it does JSON marshal? Oh my God, I may have become sexually aroused. You've got it. That's purging. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so cool. It's like extremely verbose. I don't know if I would do it for everything. There are certain cases where that makes so much sense. I mean, it just does. Slog next time. Just looking for analytics. Oh yeah, debugging is a pain in the ass. I completely agree. Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. I am super conflicted on that. I'm super duper conflicted on that particular thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, new JSON handler. Not to mention the fact that if it's using the internal JSON reflection API, that it's going to escape every single like Chinese character, because the JSON reflection marshalling API is so freaking broken. It says for the safety of blah, we're going to escape all angle brackets, even though they're valid JSON, and we're going to escape every emote, everything that's not ASCII. and it makes JSON output using the JSON default marshaller absolutely freaking unreadable. If it's using that and they haven't fixed that, and I'm going to be able to make a test of that really quickly. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm definitely going to test that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So yeah, you can override it, but it's a pain in the butt because everything is built to use the default marshaller, right? And you can't override it unless you pass that marshaller into it, or you override the right method, whether it's text marshaller or just marshaller or string, right? You got the whole, you got to remember which thing's going to get overridden in the first place in order to even get the text output the way you want it to be. And I never remember that, right? I always override string. The people who are watching this are beginners, have no idea what I'm talking about. So Go by default, it's a magical thing. If you have fmt.stringer interface implemented, which means you have a method with a non-pointer receiver that the method is string and it returns a string, then anytime your thing is used in a string context, that will be output instead of the default. And the reason that came up is because I frequently implement that as JSON because I don't like to look at the output from Go stuff by default. It's really hard to read. It doesn't make any sense a lot of times. And so that's a pretty much. It says here that both text handler and JSON handler can be configured with handler options. Okay. Slog is definitely worth looking into. I tell you though, if it uses the broken JSON logging, the most broken JSON marshaller, I will not be using it. I won't be because what if you most of your stuff that's in your logs is in a foreign language or has an emote, for God's sakes, or an emoji. Your logs they're already unreadable because they're JSON. Now they're even more unreadable because you've escaped everything that's not core ASCII. And if that can't be overridden, I would be really annoyed. I don't think I would use it. I don't know that though, so that's something. Here we go. Here's the fun stuff. This is the stuff I wanted to make in a video. The slices got way better. So there's contains I was telling you about, right? But now, God, you have delete now automatically. Oh my gosh, delete func. It's gotten very, very functional. Equal func grow. Oh my gosh. They have added so many things. This is funny because I should probably deprecate my functional generic experimentation because this is doing it much better than mine. Yeah. I don't even think you're going to need min and max anymore. I don't think you need these. I think, can't you just use a slice and do ... to the min built in? That's something to consider. Anyway, that is damn cool. We knew this was coming. As I said, we knew it was coming because Generics and Pike put the brakes on people adding all of these cool changes to the built-in types. Yeah, now we actually have deep cloning now, which is so cool. We didn't have that before. We didn't have deep cloning of maps before. I swear to God, we did not have that. It's built in now. I am so glad we don't have to go to yet another package to do deep cloning. Landlongs say you would use some kind of processor. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. If you've got JSON logs, you're not going to be looking at the text of the log, right? No, that makes sense. So maps, I'd be curious to see what projects like Kubernetes and things like that do. I assume that the log is a single line of JSON with no controller, no command line enters. Yeah. New maps. So the map provides several common operations on maps, generic functions that work with maps. Yeah, this is fantastic. We've done it. We've crossed over. We've crossed over. Yeah. Compare package finds a constraint ordered. two generic functions less than compare. Oh my God. So again, all of this stuff is using the internals of the new. Wow, this will take any generic and say this one is less than the other one. Wow. Wow, that's where the ordered type came from. Somebody was talking about the ordered type. I was like, I've never heard of the ordered type. That's what's going on. Oh my God, that's where min-max comes in. So the internals that support min-max are now also in their own package. Wow. Well, why am I not just using min-max instead of compare? I don't understand. Oh, because they added less. That's not min-max is not doesn't have less. Interesting. Okay. That means that I should learn min, max, and less. Like this is less than the other one. That's important, right? When do we not want to use garbage collection? Well, anytime really high runtime performance is the thing. You don't want to get interrupted like game development. Go is not used for game development generally, but that's one of the reasons. As always, there are various minor changes and updates to the library made with Go. File info interface return to header file info now implements a string method. Oh, nice. Nice. That's very good. Implementation of the IO file system. So basically, when you're printing out file info, you get something that's more readable. That's nice. Archive zip, same thing. Bytes buffer has two new methods. Ooh, this is good. My change didn't make it into context. They shut down my proposal to stop stuttering with context.context. I suggested they add context.c and they said no. So, whatever. Testing.t, testing.b is fine. No context.c. They said that they regret that they made a testing.t, actually. The buffer type has two new methods, available and available buffer. These may be used along with the write method to append directly to the buffer. Damn. Available and available buffer. These may be used along with write. What if you call this on a null byte? Returns how many bytes are unused in the buffer. Oh, damn. That is cool. So we can inspect what's in the buffer. Wow, I like it. Context. The new without cancel function returns a copy of the context. I don't know why this didn't make it in the first version of context. Wouldn't be ideal for 3D. No. I agree. The new without cancel function returns a copy of the context that is not canceled when the original context. In other words, you can make things that have a context.context, which is pretty much everything these days. It's my biggest complaint about context. They forced it on everybody because it's the only way to safely unravel a very deeply embedded middleware that's got multiple layers. And now they've given you the option to say, I don't care about your cancel. I'm not going away. So if you want to shoot yourself in the foot, you can. The new with deadline clause and without timeout clause functions provide a way to set a context cancellation clause when a deadline or timer expires. Nice. The cause may be retrieved by the cause function. So you can have a timeout. That is super cool. That's what we needed. Reminds me of the old CGI days when people would not time out their Perl code and it would sit there for days trying to do its thing. The way to do that, by the way, back then was to send yourself a SIG alarm and then trap the SIG alarm after a certain number of seconds and gracefully terminate your Perl script. That's what we used to do. This is the same idea. It's just implemented differently. Yeah. A cancel of cancel. Yeah, where's our cancel of cancel? We don't have that. Yeah, they should be able to allow you to change the context and say, I want to cancel it now. I don't want it to cancel anymore. Frankly, I wish they had done something with some sort of traps or something. I really don't like being forced to pass context as the first argument. It really annoys me. I know it's a well-established pattern. It's just fucking ugly. I hate it. I always have. It's just my personal preference. I'll go away now. An optimization means that the results of calling background and to-do and converting them to a shared type can be considered equal. They were different in previous releases. Crypto Elliptical is caught up, thank God. The curve method's been deprecated. Interesting. You should use crypto ECDH now instead of elliptic. This is super important, my friends. They will frequently deprecate something. Did you know that all of the IOUtil package is deprecated? Yep, that's right. That's my name, RWX. So all the curve functions, the entire elliptical. This I love CryptoRound, by the way. And now you just get random system call on that BSD. They fixed that. RSA got better. SHA-256. Crypto TLS application can now control the control of session tickets. Shite. We can control session tickets? Wow. The new session state describes the resilience. What? Wow. The crypto TLS, this is all the HTTPS stuff. The package now supports the extended master secret extension and enables it by default. Additionally, the deprecation of Connect State TLS unique has been reverted. Forever. Yeah. Good evening. Don't wear it out. And it's populated when you use them. Session tickets produced by Go pre 1.21 are not interoperable with Go 21. But that was pre-Go. They're doing something with TLS that's in conformance with the latest spec of TLS. I need to understand that. TLS is core to everything. Zero trust, everything in security world. This is going to be really important. Hackers are going to want to know about this stuff. So I don't know if I'm not now. I don't want to spend. I'm just queuing up all of the things that I need to go learn. Note that this is not a quick implementation. I was wondering. Okay, so the new QuickCon type provides support for quick implementations. Wow. So they're supporting TLS over quick now. But this is not a quick implementation. Interesting. It makes me wonder if NetHTTP supports quick by default. It must. I mean, where would I read that? I need to. I can't follow that right now. Crypto 509 has been deprecated. Debug ELF. The new file.din value method is for use to retrieve numeric values. Okay, that's ELF stuff. ELF is the binary format. ELF binaries. You guys know about this, right? Debug PE attempts to read from the section container uninitialized data. Don't know what that is. What is PE? Package PE implements access to PE Microsoft Windows portable executable files. Yeah, I don't think I need that. Embed. IO.ff. I love embed. I love embed. IO.fs.file returned by fsopen now has a readout method. What the hell? Oh my god, that is so stinking cool. That means you can, oh my god. That means you could embed a binary file and use it as a database table of constants. Why don't you just make it constant? Because it's embedded. That is super freaking cool. Fedora Linux is going to be on Silicon Max. Nice. Web dev, the way to break in. And there's lots of ways, but that's not the only way. By far. Thank you for the sub map. PE is the Windows executable. Okay, errors. The new error, unsupported error provides standardization. Look, I know that they've done millions of things with the errors, like propagation and everything. And I still don't understand it all. I've gone through it so many times, and I still don't understand the proper way to do it. So an error in Go, by the way, is literally anything that implements the error method. And You can make your own. You can make your own that encapsulate other ones, but you can't use inheritance because it's errors, right? It has to be passed to the error new or to the FMT error F thing. It's errors are just a disaster in Go. They're still its biggest wart. Error handling, error management, error propagation, error stack traces, all of it is, in my opinion, the single biggest wart on the language right now. And there's been lots of proposals to fix this. There's been, I don't know how many times exceptions have been shot down for good reason, but they just can't get it together there. And it probably never will. So that's like one of the things we're just going to have to own. You think error is one of the best Go interfaces? I don't know about that. The new Boolean function for flag set Boolean func. Nah, I don't use flag. I use Cobra or Bonsai. You know why? Because flag makes POSIX non-compliant flags. Why the fuck would you use it? I used to think that using flag was the right thing to do. It's a standard library. And then I started realizing that it's completely non-compliant with any other POSIX flags. If you're going to have POSIX, if you're going to have flags, at least make them POSIX compliant, for God's sake. The biggest complaint I have about that is that Go has decided itself to make its binaries non-POSIX compliant. And I hate that that's true. I really do. So Go AST, the new AST generator predicts reports. This is cool because Go actually has its own AST, which you can inspect, which is super freaking cool. In fact, if you want to learn how to make a language or parse a language or write a compiler and everything, learning from reading the Go source code is really, really instructional. It's very, very interesting stuff. Go build, Go constraint, Go token. File.lines method returns the file's line number. This is all stuff within the Go binary itself. Map hash. The hash map package now has a pure Go. What? What? Why wasn't hash map implemented in pure Go before? But map hash provides hash functions on byte sequences. These hash functions are intended for use to implement hash tables. Oh my golly jeepers. Oh my goodness gracious. We have our own hash map algorithm in pure Go. Wow, that means you could literally implement your own hashes, your own, map types or whatever you want to call them. There's like 5 different names. Yeah. HTML template. I love text templates. One of my favorite. Error.js template is determined an action appears in JavaScript template literal. Okay, fine. IOFS. File info for walking directories. Cool. Math big. They got extra float. Net package now has multipath TCP. What? Choose multipath TCP when available on a client. That was set multipath TCP method. Oh my God. That is a big deal. Wow, that means you can set up your own routing rules inside of your software without using the system routing. Wow. That you can write your own router as a Go thing. That's crazy. Does that work for? It's just outbound, right? That's not inbound. Can you listen on multiple paths too? Oh my God! To use multipath TCP when available on server, call the listen config set multipath TCP before. Oh my God! I got to rewrite the BellBox software and Go now. So you guys don't know IRL BellBox, right? BellBox, what it does is it takes 3 incoming streams of data, and they're TCP/IP streams, and it meshes the data so that you into one stream, and then that stream gets redirected out to Twitch as those are 3 different SRT streams, and then it combines it all together, and then the final stream gets pushed as RTMP to Twitch. So, the modem binding effectively, right? So, the thing that's really cool about this is it sounds to me like I could write an application that fires up a server that listens to all the different incoming TCP/IP ports, as they're negotiated. However, I would end up doing that, and then it could actually, I'd have to write the algorithm for it, but it could actually bond the. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't want to do it at the application level. I'd probably want to do it at the kernel level and use the built-in Go bonding for that kind of thing. But that still is very, very interesting. And he made all that software, which was all based on open source software. He took it all proprietary, and now he tries to sell it. I don't want to talk about it. In a future Go release, we may enable multipath TCP by default on systems that support it. Yeah, that this could be really, really interesting for any kind of device that wants to be, network aware without depending on us. The reason this is interesting to me is because it takes some of the work that people might pick a Linux or a BSD for because of its network stack, because it has variation in its network stack. And it takes some of that work out of there and puts it into user space, possibly. I don't know. That's what I'm interested to find out. Multipath TCP, yeah. So I don't know if I'm even saying that right. I could get that totally wrong, but if that has anything to do with it, that's interesting. NetHTTP, good old NetHTTP, enable full duplex finally. Server consumes the remaining request body. NetHTTP package now supports errors unsupported. All right, OS programs will now pass empty lines. File changer method now changes the current directory to the file. Okay. On Unix systems with non-blocking descriptors, pass the new file. Calling the file FD method will now return non-blocking descriptor. Previously, the descriptor was converted to blocking mode. Interesting. Windows calling truncate. Non-existent file. It sounds like there's just a bunch of bug fixes, mostly on Windows in the OS package. Path file path. FS-dir entry interface past the interface function already walked through now implements a string method that calls format dir entry. I love this new format dir entry thing. This is a way for you to get your directory output to print nice and pretty. So you can just implement that method or pass it or whatever, and you don't have to. Normally, when you would like walk a file tree or something, or directory tree, you'd have to write your own print statement with a sprintf or a printf or something. And it looks like they made it easier with this thing called FS format and dir entry. So it sounds like we can just. The thing that's really cool about that is that if you have multiple packages that are all using the FS, the file path, you can just implement that in that because it seems like it's package scoped. That means it'll change all of the output. And that could be really cool. That could be really cool. I don't know if that's true, but I don't want to read about reflection right now. regexp now defines marshal text and unmarshal text. What? What the hell? Oh my God. What syntax are they using? What syntax are you using? Oh my God. You can now print regular expressions as text. That is so stinking cool. What? That I don't have words for this one. That is so stinking cool. I mean, just give you an example. Let's just say you want to make a JSON schema validator, right? A lot of it's regex, right? So you parse that field of JSON, and then what do? You have to take that thing and get it into a regex and make a new regex out of it, and you have to do some crazy magic with that. But now you can just unmarshal the text. I bet it's built into JSON. Wait. Text unmarshal will be used by packages such as encoding JSON. They've already put it in there. So if you have a type that's a regex and you're struct and you do unmarshaling, it'll automatically make you a regex out of the text. Holy cow. That is so cool. I know I'm a regex noob, but I'm a fan, but that is so cool. I love that. Runtime stack got better at showing us errors, traceback and stuff. God, there's a lot of changes here. Runtime metrics. I'm getting tired. This is a much longer video than I wanted to make. How long are we going? 2 hours. God. Runtime trace, collected traces on AMD. Sync. Okay, so this is one of the big ones that I want to look at. This has added so many things. Okay. It's got a sync once now and a sync pool. Sync mutex was already there. What's Trilock? That's totally new. Map is the one you should never use. Let me read it to you. Okay, here we go. The map type, the sync.map type is specialized. Most codes should use a plain Go map instead with a separate locking for better type safety and to make it easier to maintain over longer variants. So this is pretty much useless. It's optimized for common use cases when the entry is given a key is only ever written once but read many times. So if you're making a cache, and then when multiple Go routines read, write, and overwrite. So that is the thing. Trilock is new. Never heard of that. Tries to lock M and reports whether it succeeded. Note that while correct uses of Trilock do exist, they are rare. And the use of Trilock is often a sign of deeper problems in a particular use of mutexes. I was going to say, so once, let's talk about once. Do calls the function if and only if do is being called for the first time for the instance for once. In other words, given blah, the once.do is called multiple times if only the first call will invoke f, even if f has a different value for each invocation. The new instance of once is required for each function to execute. Do is intended for initialization that must be run exactly once. Damn, this is cool. This is so stinking cool. I've been wanting this forever. Do you know what this means? Oh my God, I can see all the idioms. This is what I was so happy about. So rather than making a constructor, you can just use the do once. Do you comprehend what that means? So it's very common in Go to not have a constructor, right? You use the zero values for a struct. It depends on how complex your structure, your stuff is. It's not not idiomatic Go to make a constructor like new thing, right? New client, new whatever. Because a lot of times you do have to initialize the struct, particularly if you've got maps in there and thing, right? That you just want to add to. But another way to do it would be to use the zero values, and then in the method that particularly needs one of those values, that this is not necessarily a good design, right? Because it's not centralized. What if you have another thing that also needs to have it initialized, right? Well, now you should probably just initialize it first time. But if you know that you want to use that thing and it needs to be initialized if it gets used, but you don't want to waste time initializing it for no reason, you could put a config once in there. You could put a once in there. You could put a once in the method or the function or the method probably, and the once would initialize and set up that connection, and then it would leave it alone after that. And after that code wouldn't even get run. So, but the problem with that is, I mean, I've written code like this before, and you always have that like annoying if statement at the beginning of your method that has to run every single time to assert that those values are actually there. And that gets into the messy question of whether you should assert your arguments are there at all, depending on what level of the code you're at. If the code is really high level, then obviously you're asserting values and sending back error message to your caller. But at the lower level, it's a waste of time to do that, because you should be expecting everything to be passed properly and be asserted up above and validated. So, but that the once does allow us that idiom if we want to do that a little bit more elegantly, rather than putting an if statement there. Get selects an arbitrary item from pool, removing it from the pool and returning it to oh wow, that is so stinking cool. Get may choose to ignore the pool and treat it as empty. Caller should not assume any relation between values of put and get. This is super cool. This is super freaking cool. Oh my God. Does it a stack? Does it go? That was added in 1.3. I guess it's been there all along. I didn't know. I've never used pool. I'm glad I read this. This got added in 1.18. Okay. 1.20 got swap. What? Swap enables the value for a key and returns the previous value, if any. The loaded result reports whether the key was present. Oh, interesting. Compare and swap. The values for the key if the value stored in the map is equal. I mean, I guess I could start seeing myself using map.sync more now, or sync.map. Compare and delete. Yeah, this is for implementing caches. This is nice, you know. Yeah, I don't know how much I would still use it, but still that does seem kind of interesting. Okay, we are getting very slowly to the end of this. I hope. Syscall, Windows, BSD, Windows got. We're not going to read about syscalls. Testing, full path option will print the full path names to log messages rather than base names. The new testing function reports whether the program is tested. Is a test created for Go test? Whether the program is a test created by Go test. What? Whether the current code is being run in a test. Oh, wow. Why would you not? I can't. Whatever. Text Marshall encoding. OpenStat. So fuzzy test that one came in a long time ago. Calling OpenStat will return a type that now implements the string method that calls file info. That all these things got the file format info update. It looks like Unicode is 1.15. By the way, if you want to read some amazing build code, read the code that Pike wrote. He absolutely had to have written that because he wrote Unicode too. I mean, how often can you say that? The person who created emojis also created Go. Look it up. Rob Pike and what's his face, who has a big name that everybody always thinks is Pike is doing all the work. He carries the other guy along because he's got a big ass name. I'm not even going to say his name. You know who I'm talking about. Pike is the guy doing all the work, though. I'm telling you, he's doing the legwork, and then he's like, I got to partner with these other big names. No, I wasn't talking about Richie. The other one. The other creator of Go. I want to see one line of code he actually wrote. And then they got the Java guy. Somebody's going to yell at me for saying this. Gressimer? No, this is my interpretation of how Go development went down, and I have no basis of fact on this. So if someone's going to yell at me, probably the guys who made it too. I have the feeling that Rob. I mean, the way Rob Pike talks about the language, and you know, it's pretty clear that most of the ideas came from him. And he talks about the development of Go and how they were really strict, and they had three people. They had Gressimer, right? Rob Gressimer, and Thompson, and all three of them got together and they didn't put anything in the language they didn't all approve of. Now those days are long gone. I'd be surprised if Rob Pike even looks at what's happening on the Go team anymore, based on some of the decisions. But every once in a while, these days, Rob Pike will chime in and say, hey guys, let's put the brakes on moving everything in the standard library to use generics, and let's wait on that until 1.21, which is what he did in 1.18. He very rarely comes out of his, gopher hole. See what I did there? To talk that stuff. He's doing presentations and he's older, and I mean, I don't know. He seems like a really great guy. I would love to have beer. He would never have a beer with me, but he's just too big a deal. And then you got Thompson, who was like, the father of Unix, pretty much. And I think he just kind of lended his name to the thing. He's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then the way I see it going down is Gressimer, who is the young, active guy who's coming from the Java world. He's coming from the Java world. I have a feeling that he was the code monkey, and he and Pike were. I always imagine Rob Pike like meticulously spending a lot of time on text template because he freaking loves it. You can just listen to him talk about it. He talks about it for an hour and a half. There's a video where he talks about how cool it was when he wrote the parser for text template, which, by the way, is the best template language ever created, as far as I'm concerned. Its integration with function maps and stuff is just absolutely brilliant and beautiful, and that's why it's the basis for Helm templates. It's the basis for Hugo. It's the basis for pretty much all the cloud native stuff. Kubernetes, queries that have templates in them, and so I imagine him like coding away on all that, and giving Russimer and the rest of the people kind of the grunt work on it, and so I have no connection with these people whatsoever. And they probably never would connect with me. Basis for off. And so hey, welcome newbie. I'm new. I'm really getting into coding. Any tips on coding? Give me some tips. Yes, here's my tip. Go read skillstack.io, and particularly go look at the beginner boost. That's what I would start with. I'd start with learning the terminal and coding from the terminal. Depends on what you want to do. Obviously, it depends on what your goals are. If you want to do web dev, you can go do other things. It really depends on what your goals are. Yep. Anyway, so that's Unicode. So Unicode, you can go read Pike's own words. He wrote about this in a news group, but I'm going to horribly paraphrase it. So he said the origin of Unicode. So IBM and a bunch of people were doing Unicode. They sent them the spec, and as Pike describes it, they were sitting in a coffee shop or something. He and Thompson, father of Unix, right? And they were sitting there in a coffee shop, and they basically said, nope, that's bad. Nope, this is good. This is bad. And they redid the basis for Unicode, the algorithm that makes Unicode possible, which is variable byte length. And they did the whole thing. They sent it back to IBM like the next day. IBM's like, oh my God, can we use this exactly as it is? And they're like, yeah. And so, but I think they got listed as contributors to Unicode, but they actually pretty much ripped the whole guts of the whole thing out and redid the whole thing. So if you want to see some of Pike's own code that he really loves, go read the Unicode code generator that pulls the specification of Unicode off the internet and downloads it and generates all of the code for Go that constitutes the Unicode library. It's absolutely brilliant. I took that exact code and modified it slightly and did my own thing so that I could make my pagan stuff to support Unicode before I decided to make Unicode a function in my pagan grammar, as opposed to defining specifically what every value was, which is what they have to do in the Unicode library. In the Unicode library is digit. They've I mean, it's just so elegant. It really is. But this code is all generated. This is all generated code. Not this stuff, but some of the other stuff is. Anyway, good stuff there. If you want to read about ports, Darwin, Windows, WebAssembly. This is new. WebAssembly is a thing now. Go in WebAssembly. As experimental port of WebAssembly, WASI preview. Yeah. As a result of the addition of the new Ghosts, they added the Go operating system, WebAssembly. So you can write WebAssembly now. We always knew that was coming, and it's kind of cool to see that it's happening. Looks like it's experimental, though. That's going to be a huge deal because people are going to be able to write their Flash apps in Go now. And the creation of Go, yeah. Less is exponentially more. I absolutely agree. I think I've read that one. That's an old one. Yeah. When building positional independent binaries, blah, blah, blah. Long 64 port now supports. What is a long 64? I have no idea what that is. Don't need to know. Build mode Pi. Is that like Raspberry Pi? I don't know. When is RISC-V support going to be here? They already have that? That is the end. That is the end of my release notes thing. That is 2 hours and 9 minutes long, and I apologize, but Go's runtime makes WebAssembly harder, I would guess. Yes, that's one of the reasons I thought. I mean, because it has all that optimization there, especially now that they added PDO. Can you do PDO support with WebAssembly? I'm thinking no. Time flies when you're having fun. I mean, okay. If your idea of fun is reading release notes, and my idea is sort of fun on that front, that's going to be all for me today. So come join us for other fun activities. I'm going to be stopping the YouTube video right now, and I am going to use the remaining part of the day. Another couple hours, I'm going to be writing some more SSH multi-host client code. Call the SSH coordinator to be able to send an SSH job in kind of an Ansible way to multiple jobs in Go completely. That's the project I'm currently working on, and I will be co-working, listening to music on that later. Just another invitation to the YouTuber crowd out there. If you want to join us, I know I'm long-winded and boring, and sometimes I get ranty, but if you want to join the community who is less so, well, I don't know. Some of them are real jerks. They're great people, though. They're just jerks like me, and they are here too to help you, to help me. So come join us. Whether you're a beginner or you're just getting into Go or you're getting into anything and you just want to get into tech, I'm going to put a little plug at the end of this video like I always do. Beginner boosts are at 1:30 on Saturday. We do a lot of things around here. I'm starting to bike IRL a lot more, and we do the crazy AG Dance Party on Thursdays and Saturdays. So check the calendar. Come on into Twitch. Join our community. We'd love to have you. Bye.